Hello everybody, welcome back to some more Redstone Academy. In this episode, we're going to be discussing, I can't even speak apparently, we're going to be discussing pistons. Specifically, there are two different varieties of them. Pistons are one of the most useful redstone blocks in the game. I would put them at, you know what? I'd put them as the most useful block in the game. Specifically the sticky piston variety. Each of them have their own use cases, which I'll demonstrate here. But I would say they're probably the most useful block in the game. You have your normal piston, which if you don't know what a piston does, it just pushes a block. You know, the stone block was there, now it's up here. And you'll see the main difference here actually. This is a normal piston, this is a sticky piston. When we push this block with the sticky piston, the block will actually come back with it. No matter what I do, I can't get this stone block back onto the normal piston. Unless, you know, I were to break it and place it back down. But there's no way I'm getting that block back down there without any kind of physical altercation. One important thing to note about pistons is they actually have a push limit of how many blocks you can push. And that is 12 blocks. You can see I can push 12 blocks, but once I go up to 13 blocks, it won't do anything. Not unless I knock the top of this off, and then I'm able to push it. But just 13 blocks, I'm not able to push it at all. It's interesting. And actually it comes in use when we start talking about slime block machines. Because when slime blocks were introduced, that was the first time we could push multiple blocks. That's right. Slime blocks actually allow for more stickiness, and we can push multiple things at once. It still has the 12 block limit, so like, you know, if I were to just start adding on to this willy-nilly, I could push this, but as soon as I add just a couple more, I won't be able to push it. But, you know, beforehand, I was able to push this whole contraption up and down, which has been extremely, extremely useful for the community. Problem is, if you needed something side by side, say you needed like two pistons here, both pushing things up, you couldn't manage to do it until they introduced the honey block. Now the honey block actually does the same thing, except the difference is it won't stick to slime blocks. So you can run two different kinds of pistons between the two and have them not stick to each other, which is awesome. There is actually a small difference between the honey block and the slime block though, other than the slime block's normal properties, which is, you know, just slowing you down. Wow, I can't demonstrate it there. There we go. Oh, I got the achievement for it. You know, just slowing down your descent. It actually has more properties than that. As you can see with a normal piston, we can push blocks like this block of wood and this trap door here, but any kind of entity or like a utility block, as I like to call them, like a furnace or I'm trying to think what else, like a dispenser, stuff like that, they actually won't move, but normal blocks like this will move. So entities and immovable utility objects can't move with slime. However, with I almost forgot what it's called. With honey blocks, you still can't move utility blocks. I'll demonstrate this if I grab another furnace. You still can't move utility blocks, but you can move entities, which has been kind of a big deal because now suddenly a player himself counts as an entity. You can move yourself with your machine, whereas you can't really do that, not all that well, with slime. Actually, you can't really do that at all with slime blocks. But yeah, that has been a huge, I almost want to say recent update. When did the bee thing come out? That came out a while ago, actually. Those are actually the main kind of properties of pistons. That's generally for most use cases. That's what you gotta know. But there's a really big thing, and that's called quasi-connectivity, or you could also call it bud powering. They're you can kind of use the terms interchangeably. They're not exactly the same thing, but I'm gonna make a video about what specifically quasi-connectivity is later on. But for now, I just want you to know the basics of it because it's very important for pistons. See, normally when you power this block, you're given this block first degree power, which gives this second degree power. So it's powering this block right here. However, something interesting happens when you interact a piston with this way. Both of these pistons fired. This lamp's not being powered. It's not getting power at all because this only has second degree power. You would assume that this block only has second degree power, yet why is this moving along with it? Well, that's due to quasi-connectivity, which only affects 4 blocks in this game. The normal piston, the sticky piston, droppers, and hoppers. I'm sorry, not hoppers, droppers and dispensers. I'm gonna make another video about those later, but yeah. For now, I'm not gonna go too in depth with why this is happening, but I'll kind of just say, pistons and all those other blocks kind of have, almost like a reach system. They'll look at surrounding blocks next to them and they'll see if they're powered, and they'll be like, hey, you know what? I kind of feel like being powered too. That's the most simplistic way of describing quasi-connectivity. It's not quite that, but it is important to know that. Along with quasi-connectivity, this is bud powering. Bud stands for block update detector, and when I flick this lever, you'll notice nothing actually happens. Nothing happens until we give this piston some kind of block update, and it could be any block nearby. We could even destroy a block, but if I place this block here, the piston will realize it will reach out to this block and this block, which don't actually exist, but it kind of pretends they do, and it sees that they're getting second degree power, so it just feels like powering itself. But it won't realize that it's being powered until you give it a block update. And this happens vice versa too, actually. You can probably hear my dog. So now that this is off, this isn't being powered at all, but it thinks it is until we give it a block update. And we can, didn't mean to do that, but this will still be fine. It works for any block surrounding this area here. It'll realize that it's being block powered or bud powered, whatever. Those are probably the most confusing parts about pistons, droppers, and dispensers. But don't worry, another video is going to be coming out, hopefully soon enough, describing more about quasi-connectivity. Hold the phone. There's something very important that I almost forgot. I just did the outro, but there is one more important property of pistons, specifically the sticky piston, that I want to discuss with you before I go. So of course, sticky pistons will stick to blocks and retract them, but something you may not know is if a piston gets a 1-tick signal, and we kind of discussed ticks earlier when we talked about torches and repeaters, but I'm talking about the pulse of a redstone. The not so much delay, but the actual pulse of this. So if we, give it a short pulse, it'll stick to the block and retract, but if we give it exactly 1 tick, meaning we give it the shortest pulse imaginable, something interesting happens with the sticky piston. And you'll notice that it doesn't stick on the retraction. And that is a property of sticky pistons, and that's actually very useful when we start getting into circuit design, because we use this property all the time, especially when we're doing like T flip-flops. On occasion, you might see this happen with a monostable circuit, and if those names scare you, trust me, don't worry about it. Those are some of the most simplest circuits ever, and they're a lot of fun. I can't wait to make videos about them. But I wanted to discuss that. It's kind of hard to do. There we go. It's one of the most important properties of sticky pistons, because you'll see this a lot actually when you start working with machines. But yeah, alright, on to the outro that I already recorded. Thank you. But thank you everybody for watching this latest episode of Redstone Academy. In the next episode, I'll probably be going over droppers, hoppers, and dispensers all in one go because they're fairly simple to do. Hoppers will need a little bit of an explanation, but the other two are pretty simple, and they're very, very important for redstone circuits. So until next time, thank you guys for watching. I hope to see your continued support, and I will catch you on the flippity flop. Adios!